Join us each week for Music and the Spoken Word, featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcast in the world. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, classical, and contemporary music and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting program that will have you returning to each week. Music and the Spoken Word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Sunday mornings at 8 and again in the afternoons at 6 on News Talk KVNU.
From all of us at Napa Auto Parts, thank you. We've been named gold winner for Best Auto Parts Store in the 2025 Best of Northern Utah, and it's all thanks to you. We couldn't do what we do without your support.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. Al-Anon Family Groups.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson, and it's kind of feeling like fall outside. So we've got a little storm rolling in. We've got some more moisture on its way, which is very welcome. We'll take that moisture this weekend, and it just feels like a great time to be outside. And I think this weekend we might harvest my squash. They're looking really good. I'm going to bring in a whole bunch of pumpkins that are looking amazing, so we can start decorating with them. And I still have a giant pumpkin out in my patch that haven't been able to do anything with. So if you want to come see a 500-pound pumpkin.
Turn it into a feral cat house or something like that.
I guess they're going to have to carve it or something. So I'm not quite sure what to do. I got to figure out how to move it, too. It's too big to pick up with a blanket. So, yeah, it's grown since the Pumpkin Festival, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's even bigger.
Yeah, it's like grown. The plants look really good, so it's put on a little bit of weight, even though it's cooling down out there. But man, we picked tomatoes like crazy, just until our fingers have turned red. We've been picking tomatoes, and
it's that time.
It is. It's just such a great time of year, and
I'm trying to decide if I have enough energy to dig up the beets this weekend. I've been trying to give them every bit of time I could.
And they can go longer. You can leave them in a little bit longer. So you could leave them till the end of this month.
Really?
And we've actually left beets in the ground through the wintertime.
Really?
And carrots, both. But you want to protect them. And so
sure.
The best thing to do with those is not to cover them with leaves or with mulch, because then you have to dig through that to dig them up. And so it kind of makes a little bit of a mess. And the deer will actually dig through and get the tops of them. And if they eat the tops, then they'll deteriorate through the wintertime, and they'll just rot.
Oh, okay.
And so what we do is we actually gather the leaves up in plastic bags, and then put the plastic bags on top of the carrots or on top of the beets, and it kind of insulates them just a little bit. And if you get snow that comes on top of them, it'll kind of press the bags down a little bit, and it will really protect them very, very well. But it insulates the soil just a little bit. And then if it is wintertime and you want to go out and dig some carrots up, you just go out there and you kind of kick the bag, and all the snow falls off, and then you pick the bag up and move it and dig up the carrots as you want and put the bag back when you're done. And so you can really protect them very, very well that way. And the soil stays it doesn't freeze as hard, so it's easier to dig stuff up. Okay. And then it keeps the deer out of there because they won't dig through the bags. And it makes it so much easier to clean up because the leaves are all in the bags. And so It's really quite an ingenious way to do it. And the best, and Jason, the best way to do it is to wait until the leaves start coming off the trees, and people in your neighborhood bag them all up and put them on the side of the road for the city to come pick them up. And then about midnight, you go out in your truck and you just go pick up bags, and somebody else has already bagged them for you. And you can use those in your garden. And then your neighbors wake up the next morning and they go, man, the city is like so on top of it. They just gathered all my stuff up. It just is gone. And no, it's the Andersons that picked up the stuff and
cleaned up everything.
Yeah, but your neighbors will do all that work for you. You don't even have to bag it up. So
I'm excited. The Andersons have helped me a lot with. I've dabbled with this in years past after talking with you, and this year I finally did it the right way. But I have winterizing soil conditioning crops.
Oh yeah,
officially covering about 2/3 of my garden right now.
Which ones did you do?
It was actually a seed packet that you'd recommended that I got at Anderson's, and so I have a little red clover up and blossoming. It's beautiful, and the bees are loving it.
The bees love the clover.
They're loving it.
Did you know that an acre of clover or alfalfa will sustain an entire beehive?
Really?
Yeah.
That's
to produce like lots
impressive.
to produce like a year's worth of honey.
Oh, they're covered
off of it too.
The bees are just ignoring the zinnias at this point. They're all over the red
clover. Yeah, because the clover's got like the right pollen in there that they need to really create.
Oh, they're loving it.
So, yeah.
And then I've got some. I forget which type of grass it is. It's a wheat grass of some kind, but it was a seed packet mix that you'd recommended.
Yeah.
And I started in late August. I tilled and planted.
Cool.
It's up and looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And
so you can either till that in this fall, or you can leave it and you can do it next spring.
I was thinking of leaving it and then tilling early.
Yeah. In the
before
spring,
it goes to seed.
Yeah. This fall, what I would maybe recommend is that you like mow it down.
Okay.
You could just like mow it
Makes
down.
sense.
Yeah, because if you've got like too much organic matter in the spring to work into the soil, it takes a long time for it to break down.
Makes sense.
And so if you mow it down in the fall, then the root system can still do its thing, and the root system breaks the soil up. It kind of aerates and kind of conditions the soil on its own. And then when you till all that stuff in next spring, some of it will be partially decomposed already, so it'll break down a little bit faster for you.
I'm excited to see how this goes.
A lot of my gardeners will do exactly what you've done, and then in November they'll just cut it down and just till it all in.
Really?
And then by spring it is completely decomposed. Like it's already incorporated into the soil. And clover and a wheatgrass like that is great for just building up soil tilth. You know, it just makes the soil more workable.
Makes sense.
And it puts a little bit of nutrient value back into the soil as well too. And so it's a really, really great way to condition your soil. And a lot of the giant pumpkin growers, that's what they do. They've planted all their cover crops, and they're getting ready to till them all in this fall. But some of them, like my good friend Jay, who lives in Wyoming, and he was the winner of the Pumpkin Festival 2 years ago. So he was like our first Center Street giant, and he's such a sweet guy. And he's got his cover crop planted, but it's in his greenhouse, and so he'll let it grow all winter. And he'll go out there in his greenhouse in Wyoming, and it's like 0 outside, and inside his greenhouse it's like 70.
That's funny.
And he'll sit out there in the wintertime and just enjoy. Like he'll send me pictures of him laying out there in the grass and
shorts and a t-shirt.
Foot pictures, like people do at the beach. And it's like, hey, I'm in at the beach, and they got a picture of them with their feet.
That's great.
Yeah, I know. It's like these pumpkin growers. As much as we love them to death, they're the biggest nerds.
Yeah, it's the whole gardening thing is it becomes a bit of an addiction. Not an addiction, but
and doing the giant pumpkins is an absolute addiction. Yeah, it is an absolute addiction, and you can really get into it. And
some of them take it. I learned at the festival this year. Some of them take it
seriously.
Very seriously.
Yeah, very, very seriously. And you know what? That is great. That's a hobby that I can just like totally get behind somebody and say, hey, you want to blow $5,000 or $10,000 just growing stuff? Be my guest. It's like who's it hurting?
So, speaking of that, I was thinking about this back to the winterization of my garden from your recommendations. I was thinking about costs compared to the amenities that I've added every year my entire life, So this year, and I should mention this, I also planted hairy vetch along the tomato row.
Yeah.
And I did that back in August.
And the vetch is great. Yeah.
And it's as tall as the tomatoes right now.
Oh, yeah, it'll go nuts.
And so I'll till all that in. If the snow allows, I'll do it this fall.
The trick with the vetch is it's really, really viney.
Yeah,
and so when you try and till it in, it's like trying to till your pea vines in.
Just wraps.
It just wraps in the tiller, and so you have to cut it down incrementally because the vine is even more durable, more resilient than the peas, and it'll bind your tiller up.
Okay,
and so
that's good to know.
So if it's 3 feet tall, take off 6 inches at a time, so you have like a smaller section to be able to work with, or pull them up and run them through like a shredder or something. You got to break them up, or else it's too much. You will be in trouble. Yeah, you'll be in trouble.
That's good to know because they are about 2.5, maybe 3 feet tall, and they're blossoming as well.
Yeah. And the vetch puts a ton of nitrogen back into the soil, and they grow so fast, and the root system's so big. It's like it's one of the best things you can do for your soil, especially where your tomatoes are at too. The tomatoes really like it.
I basically I dug a row right alongside, just down, not cutting into the tomato roots, and I sprinkled some seed there and I didn't cover it. I just watered it.
And you said that this is probably the least amount of money that you've ever spent on like doing it.
$15.
Yeah, it's pretty.
The 2 seed packet.
I don't know on the wages you make here at the radio station, Jason. I don't know how you can afford that. So.
I know. Honestly, it's amazing because I was doing the math, and I've spent hundreds of dollars every year on amenities just to keep the soil healthy. And this year, $15. I'll till all this in and be ready to go.
Which is so important. So what a lot of gardeners don't realize is building your soil for next year starts right now.
Sure.
It's like we're starting right now for next year. So this is what's funny too. So as we're visiting with all the pumpkin growers that were here a couple weeks ago, and talking to them about what they're going to do, and they're like, okay, we'll go home and we'll like recover this weekend, and we've got we got another way off to go to next week, and then we're starting on next year's. And it's like they're preparing their soil right now for next year. So if you want a really good garden and you want to build your soil back up after you've used it for many, many years, in the fall is the absolute best time to do that. And there's a lot of different things you can do. You can do cover crops just like you did. You can get, compost very inexpensively at, like, say, the landfill.
Yeah.
So the Green Waste facility, they have amazing compost right now, like really, really good compost. So it's all the green waste, and it's been composted with the biosolids that are coming from the wastewater treatment facility, and they're getting composted, and it's very, very good. So they're getting some really good tests on content and nutrition out of it, and it's really, really great. It's a really great product. And then there's all kinds of different manures that you can use. And
also doing it now, you're not going to burn. Right?
Exactly, because you got all winter for it to mellow out. The key is you don't want to use too much of any one thing. So if you've got something that's really, really good, but you use too much of it, it can be a really bad thing. And so it's the same thing with what we're adding to our garden. We want a number of different materials to work into the soil, because if you put 4 inches of a composted steer manure out there, you're going to have steer manure in your garden all summer next year. It's going to take forever for it to break down.
Did that once.
Yeah. But if you do if you do an inch of composted manure, poultry or steer or whatever that may be, but then you balance that with some leaves and some grass clippings and some wood shavings and some straw, then all those different ingredients will balance each other out. And really what you want is a carbon to nitrogen ratio that is about 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. So somewhere between 3 parts carbon to 4 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. Now, the general rule of thumb is if it's brown and dry, it's carbon. If it's green and wet, it's nitrogen. But that's a gross generalization, because there's some nitrogen sources that are not green and wet. But for the most part, if it's green and wet, it's got a lot of nitrogen in it. If it is brown and dry, it's high in carbon. So you want 3 to 4 times the amount of carbon to nitrogen. So if you're doing a poultry manure, which is really high in nitrogen, and you do a half an inch of that, then you should have 2 inches of 2 or 3 other ingredients to balance out the bad things that could be in the nitrogen.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's how you do a compost pile too. If you want a really, really effective compost pile that doesn't smell terrible, everyone's had the 4 foot, 8 foot tall pile of grass clippings in their backyard that never ever decomposed, and it just turned into the giant pile of green goo, and it
starts to get that smell.
Yeah, and it's been there for 2 years, and it never ever decomposes. That's because you got too much nitrogen and not enough carbon in there. But as soon as you mix 4 parts of the carbon in with that nitrogen, all of a sudden magic starts to happen, and that material starts to decompose, and it decomposes, and it doesn't smell, and it decomposes faster, and you got to aerate it, and you want it to build up heat and energy inside, because that's what breaks it all down. But you need that carbon to nitrogen ratio to be about 4 to 1. And so if you do the same thing in your garden, you're basically doing a compost pile out in your garden, but then you're incorporating it into the soil so that it even decomposes faster. And that magic will happen over winter, where if you build a compost pile in November and you want it to break down through the winter, it's too cold and it's too dry really in our area for it to decompose. So next spring, you're still going to have the same compost pile.
And it's not very useful.
Yeah, but if you incorporate it into your soil, which is full of microbes and microorganisms and all kinds of different good biology to decompose that, it'll be gone by the next spring. It will have, that magic will have happened, and all that material will have decomposed. And so, yeah. And sometimes you got to supplement with a little bit of nitrogen, because you get a lot of carbon in there, and it will deplete your soil of nitrogen. So I've had customers.
So it's all about the balance.
It's all about the balance. Yeah. So you talk about balance in all things. It's like the same thing with your garden. You got to have a balance, because if you use too much of a really good thing, it can become a very bad thing.
Sure.
So too much composted manure, bad thing. Too much just like straight carbon. If you put just all carbon into your garden, it will suck all the nitrogen out of your soil until there is nothing left.
That is, I put some dry. It was I think it was a mushroom. Fertilizer. That I just found it was just cheap somewhere on clearance, and I bought 8 bags.
And mushroom compost is really good. Yeah, it's like really good. But
it ended up being, everything in the garden grew really well except the tomatoes that year.
Yeah.
The tomatoes didn't care for it.
Didn't like it. Yeah. So
I've learned that you have to do a bunch of things.
A balance of different things will make sure that no one thing causes too much trouble.
Makes sense.
And so that balance is really critical. But what I'll do is I'll do like straw, and I'll do leaves, and I'll do grass clippings, and then I put some zeolite out there. And then, for a nitrogen, I'll usually do like a really light dose of a poultry manure. You can use peat moss. You can use coconut coir. I mean, there's so many different products that you can use, and compost from the green waste facility here in Logan would be sensational. I mean, there's just a wide variety of different materials that add up to anywhere between 2 and 4 inches is what is going to be most beneficial for your garden. Then throw some humate on there, because the humate has all the microbes and microorganisms in there to decompose all that stuff, so it supplements your soil. It's full of minerals and micronutrients, builds your soil back up.
That too, where I have all this green
the
nitrogen.
Humic.
The humate might be a good idea.
Yeah, the humate or the humic will put minerals and microbes back into your soil, adds those beneficial microbes and microorganisms to decompose all that material, so it speeds up that decomposition process. And then the microbes and the microorganisms, they need a little extra nitrogen. So I'll usually add a nitrogen source for it. So if you want to go with the organic one, Milorganite would be sensational. It's really good. It's a natural form of nitrogen. It's got high iron content in there, so that's a really, really great product. If you want an organic fertilizer, if you want to go with a synthetic, you can use ammonium sulfate. You can't get ammonium nitrate. I was going to say ammonium nitrate, but ammonium sulfate. Get the ammonium sulfate. That would be really good. Or urea, but you gotta be careful with urea. It's a 46% nitrogen, and so if you get too much on there, it will fire things up.
That's too strong for me. I have a problem with moderation when I'm sprinkling.
We usually tell people, I don't sell the urea to just everybody. It's got to be somebody that's used it before and is familiar with it, because you're really using about a third the volume that you would with like ammonium sulfate.
Interesting.
And the ammonium sulfate has like 24% sulfur in it, which is really good for your soil as well too. So the sulfur is great to bring your soil pH down. So this time of year, it's really critical that we build our soil up because think about it. Every time you walk out into your garden, starting in March, when you're when the snow finally melts and you're like, oh, I can hardly wait.
Yeah,
I got to get out there. You get mud on your shoes and you take soil away. And through the wintertime, between erosion and wind, you lose a little bit of soil. Every time you dig up a potato or a carrot, you take a little bit of soil. I mean, it's not a lot, but when you start adding it all up, it's wheelbarrows full, and you're depleting your garden of all this good soil every year. You're losing some of it. So we've got to add that much back every year to like build your soil back up.
Sure.
So it is critical. And then if you do the right materials year after year after year, you can take that really crummy, yucky clay soil that you started with, and all of a sudden in 4 or 6 or 8 years, you've got this amazing, tillable, soft, light, fluffy soil that the plants just love and grow in. So you can improve really poor soil over a decade to the point where it's just like perfection. Or you can do nothing to your soil for a decade and you can completely mine it to the point where nothing grows in it anymore.
That's sort of where this started for me with actually listening to the Garden Guide. I wasn't here helping out that day. And I noticed it was something that was said about watering, and then the next day you get those California desert like cracks in the tops in the crusty surface of the soil.
Yeah,
and it'll still be a little wet underneath, but you have these giant cracks in the top, and that's when I realized that I'd done that. I'd overused that soil for. We did have a caller, Mary. Sorry, couldn't stay, but she had a question along these lines. A very quick one. She said, I have chickens. I use pine chips in the chicken shed.
Wonderful.
And I scrape them all out every year with a wheelbarrow to replace them.
Great.
Can I throw those pine chips and chicken droppings right on the garden?
Absolutely.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the pine chips will
that will kind of help counter it, but we'll want to add some other stuff to it.
Okay.
And so it's going to be more like a 1-to-1 ratio because we got the chicken manure and then the wood shavings in there. It's going to be a 1-to-1. So we got to add more carbon to it. And so carbon's going to be brown and dry again. So we're talking like, composted forest products, or we're talking peat moss, or we're talking coconut coir, or to believe it or not, straw is one of the best things you can add into your garden because it breaks the soil up and it doesn't decompose super fast, and so it keeps the soil from clumping up together. And so just a light layer of straw is amazing to work into the soil. And then if you're lucky, you'll get some of the winter wheat to come up through the winter, and in the spring you'll have a bunch of winter wheat out there that you can till in, which is also really good for your soil. And
I've noticed those plants are solid. They're thick. Winter wheat.
Yeah, exactly. And then just leaves once they come off the trees. So she can absolutely take that poultry manure that's been kind of swept up or kind of collected with the wood shavings, which is a great way to do that. And if you're not going to compost that through the wintertime, you could spread half an inch to an inch over your entire garden, but then make sure and add an inch of leaves that are dry, and that have come off the trees. They're carbon based now. They're not nitrogen based anymore. And then dry grass clippings because they've lost all their nitrogen. The straw would be sensational. Wood shavings, sawdust. Those are all high carbon materials, and it would balance out her poultry manure.
That is fascinating.
And then she won't have problems next year with her plants getting burnt. Because that's a possibility. If you put too much of that out there, your seedlings will germinate. They'll look great. They'll look amazing. And all of a sudden, they'll get about 2 or 3 inches tall, and they'll just start dying off because there's too much urea and too much nitrogen in there, and it's sometimes too much salt if it's coming from steer manure. It'll burn your plants. Yeah, it'll really burn your plants. So.
Fascinating
conversation. Gotta be careful.
I'm learning a lot.
gotta be a little careful, but this is the time to do it. And this weekend at Anderson Seed and Garden, we've got some great specials going on. Our cash sale is 65% off, so you can get a 65% off discount on any of our remaining trees and shrubs and flowering trees and fruit trees and evergreens and vines. 65% off if you pay with cash. It's like our clearance sale. Come and take advantage of it. And then we've got some mums that are on sale. We've got pumpkins that are on sale. Some of my sugar pie pumpkins that are, nice, 5 or 6 pounders, perfect for smaller kids. They're like $1 a piece. We've got a whole bunch of pumpkins for inexpensive. We've got some very cool, different looking pumpkins as well too. Some of the warty ones and the blue and the pink ones, and some really interesting, some really interesting looking pumpkins. Those are all on sale as well too. And it is absolutely a great time to rejuvenate your lawn. Or we're kind of getting to that tail end of the planting season. It's like, what is it today? The 11th?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, depends on what Mother Nature does. If we have good weather for the next 3 weeks, you could absolutely plant in the next week and you'd be great. But if it gets cold and turns nasty, then you're done.
Yeah.
So you're taking your chances. If you're going to do 15,000 square feet, I might think twice about it. But if you're doing 1,000 square feet, it's like, oh, what the heck? It's like you're not out that much.
Why not?
And a lot of it's going to come up next year anyway. But, if I were doing a third of an acre, I'd think twice at this point. It's getting a little bit late. But, if you're doing a small section, go for it. You got nothing to lose. You're only into it like $10 or $15. So yeah, not bad.
And if nothing else, you get that extension of the gardening fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Put off those winter blues.
It's really satisfying to watch your new grass start to come up.
Oh, I love it.
That's like the best. And we got storms coming. So when we come back from the break, let's talk like planting wildflowers for fall planting, and we can do some turf grasses as well too. I mean, there's some great things we can talk about. So
very nice.
All right,
the Garden Guide with Mark Anderson.
Throw the phone numbers out there so we can get some calls. Yeah, throw some.
753-5868. Mary, thank you for your call and your question. Others out there, 753-5868. The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden continues right after this.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. The ceasefire in the Middle East is holding, but future success is contingent on Hamas releasing all hostages. Mayan Eliassi in Tel Aviv says,
it's been a few nights that we can't sleep. We want them back, and we feel that everything is just hanging on a thread.
Meanwhile, the UN is increasing the amount of humanitarian aid it is getting into Gaza today, where tens of thousands of people have returned. As the government shutdown continues, the White House Budget Office says more than 4,000 federal workers received layoff notices Friday. It's the first time jobs have been cut as a result of a government shutdown. President Trump announced 100% tariffs on Chinese imports will go into effect next month, saying it was retaliation for China's aggressive trade practices. The spokesman for former President Biden says he's begun receiving radiation therapy to treat the prostate cancer that he announced in May. This is ABC News.
Mercury 97-86 in Game 4. It's the first ever best-of-7 WNBA Finals, ending in a sweep. Just the second team in WNBA history to win 3 and 4. A'ja Wilson is the MVP, scoring 31 points with 9 rebounds, her second Finals MVP in her career. Wilson, the first player in either the WNBA or NBA to win regular season, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and scoring title in the same season. All 3 titles come with Becky Hammon as the head coach. She says this title hits different.
This one hits different because it was different. There was probably a lot more adversity than any of us anticipated. And at the end of the day, we're all human. But we're humans that wanted to get it right and get it right together.
Becky Hammon on ESPN. On the Major League Diamond, Game 5 of the ALDS, a spot in the LCS to face the Blue Jays on the line. A solid outing from the Tigers starter Tarek Skubal with 13 strikeouts. He'd leave the game with a no decision. Game would go into extras into the 15th inning. Jorge Polanco becomes the hero.
Hanley ready, the 3-2. Swing and a line drive. Base hit into right field. The Mariners have walked it off. They're going to the ALCS.
Roxy Bernstein on ESPN Radio. It's the first LCS appearance for the Mariners since 2001, ending the third longest active drought. Mariners now 3-0 in winner-take-all games. That sets up the ALCS. Game 1 from Toronto between the Mariners and Blue Jays is on Sunday.
Guess which energy source is truly the cleanest for the environment, is affordable, abundant, and is ready right now to do what all the other clean energy sources hope to do someday. It's propane. Yes, propane. To learn more about what propane can do for you, check out the State of Energy right here, Saturday mornings at 6:30. Also, the propane industry is set to grow by $50 billion over the next 5 years. Go to findapropanejob.com.
If you're a woman, talk to your doctor by age 25 about your risk of getting breast cancer. More women under 40 are getting breast cancer, and these cancers are often more deadly. The American College of Radiology recommends you ask your doctor if you should get a mammogram before age 40, need other tests like an MRI with your yearly mammogram, or if at high risk should be checked more than once a year. For more information, visit mammography-saves-lives.org.
Furnished by American College of Radiology.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
This is Detective Johnson from the Logan City Police Department. Scams in our community are on the rise and innocent victims are losing thousands of dollars. These scams are coming in the form of phony phone calls claiming to be from government organizations or legitimate businesses. They are also circulating on social media and emails. Almost all of these scams are asking for payment through gift cards that are almost impossible to track. No legitimate business or organization uses gift cards as currency. If you receive a scam of this nature, do not give the scammers any information and immediately call police. Remember, pause, stop, call a cop.
I'm Ed Horrell, author of The Kindness Revolution. I've got a little suggestion for you this week. Take a moment to visit a classroom somewhere. If it takes going to an open house at a school, a PTA meeting, or simply making an appointment to meet with your child's teacher, do it. And while you're there, make it a point to say thank you to as many of the faculty and staff that are supporting the futures of these kids. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Good morning. We are back here at the Garden Guide. I'm Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden, and Jason's here with me. He's producing, running the board, answering the phones. He's got like so many jobs to do over there, and he gets to talk with me the whole time. So if you've got questions or comments, you're welcome to call in here at KVNU on the Garden Guide, and we'll get you on the show. It is 435-753-5868 or 753-KVNU, and we would love to have you call on the show with questions or comments, and we'll get you on there, and we'll try and answer your questions as best we can. So a lot of great things happening this weekend. We've got the Gardeners Market still going on. I think it's close to the last weekend for the Gardeners Market. We're getting pretty close. We'll verify with Jason once he's done answering the phone here. And at Anderson Seed and Garden, we've got our cash sale continues. It's 65% off if you pay with cash right now for any of our remaining trees, flowering trees, fruit trees, evergreens, shrubs, vines. We've got some good stuff left still. I look out there in our nursery and I go, why is that tree still there? For 65% off, it's like somebody should have bought that and planted it by now. It's a great time to be outside planting. So
I'm trying to decide if it's ethical for me to run down there right after the show where I heard it here.
It's such a good deal. Yeah, it's such a good deal. But
I've got some needs for some.
My question for you was: is the Gardeners Market? Is this like the last weekend? Or
this is the last weekend.
Okay, that's
Logan and Brigham City.
Okay.
In fact, I'm considering trying to hit both. Just for fun.
That's what I was thinking. We have all of our tulips and daffodils and hyacinths and crocus in, and yesterday our amaryllis bulbs showed up. So amaryllis showed up. So they actually showed on time this year. So 10th of October, I will take that every year. The last couple of years, they've been 2 weeks late, and so I'm very excited for the first batch of amaryllis coming. If there's specific varieties that you're looking for, they're going to show up in the next week or so. But our first batch of amaryllis are here. We probably have 12 or 13 varieties.
Oh wow!
In the next couple of weeks, I'll have 20 to 25 varieties. So lots of different colors to choose from. But the tulips and the daffodils look great. They're disappearing really fast. So if you want to plant bulbs, this is the time to get out there and do some planting. And we still have really good selection on our garlic. So we've got some great garlic varieties, hard necks and soft necks. And to be honest, I've been taking it home and eating it. It's really, really good. Yeah.
That's what it's for. Right?
So Susan Delafield is amazing. It's one of my all-time favorites. Last year we tried a new variety. It was called Montana. And it's very hardy, and it keeps pretty well for a hardneck. It's got great flavor. It's really good. And I really like music. Music is good. That's another hardneck variety. So we have the softnecks tend to store better. So the softneck varieties are better storage, so they'll last through the winter longer for you. The hardnecks tend to have better flavor, but they don't keep quite as well. So you gotta keep them strategically if you want them to last a little bit longer. But the flavors are really rich and robust with the hardneck varieties. So I've probably got 10 or 12 hardneck varieties and maybe 5 or 6 softneck varieties. And there's some just really good. Some really good garlic. And we're selling them all by the ounce this year. And the organic varieties are the same price as our locally grown ones. It just made sense for us to just kind of equalize the price a little bit, because it's hard for people to figure out which ones are organic and then label them and do all that. So we tried to simplify things for people this year. So it does help. Yeah.
We have Marilyn on the line here, and I'm really excited to hear your answer for this one, because I think this is a first as far as questions for you go.
All right, let's see what we do.
Marilyn, go ahead.
Hi, I live over in Garland, and I had a sandbox for grandkids, which they've outgrown.
Sure.
But it is not sand, it's gypsum.
Okay.
What can I do with gypsum? Can it be put in the garden? What can I do with it?
Absolutely. So gypsum is actually really good for the garden because it is high in calcium and it is high in sulfur. And it's really, really good at breaking down or tying up salt that's in your soil. So if over the years you've built up a little bit of salt using maybe steer manure or anything, it will tie up that salt and make it so it doesn't affect your plants. And so you don't want to put like heavy, thick layers of the gypsum, but I'd spread out, maybe 1/4 of an inch over the entire garden. And if you've got some left over, do it again, next fall, but utilize that gypsum. Absolutely. It's really good to incorporate into your garden. For years and years and years, a lot of people said that gypsum would break up clay, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. There's been a lot of university studies on it, and it's good for your soil because of the calcium and the sulfur, but it's not really doing anything for breaking up your clay. So absolutely put that on your garden, but in small quantities, and then balance it with a bunch of other stuff like we've been discussing. So a little bit of composted manure for your nitrogen, and then some other really good high carbon materials in variety. So the best thing to remember is use a variety of different materials, not just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then can I have a second question?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
My son grew pumpkins this year. Now, one of them, the wasp and hornet, are just eating the whole outside of. I don't know what causes that.
Yeah.
But the other one on the blossom end, it's seeping. Is that an injury we can't see, or is something else causing that?
If it's seeping on the blossom end, it may have cracked or split a little bit, and so it's like oozing a little bit of the natural sap and juices that are in there. You get any type of wound, and then the wasps and hornets are really attracted to the sweetness that is in the flesh, and so they're gonna go after it. My daughter is training to be a pilot in Oklahoma for the Air Force, and she bought some pumpkins with her husband, and they put them out on the porch, and the next day they were half consumed, and the squirrels ate them. So they don't even have deer there. They have squirrels, but I guess they're really big gray squirrels. And so they chomped her pumpkins to pieces. So
They just about stripped the whole out orange layer off of it.
Oh, yeah. So I told her, I'm sorry, sweetie, but, get some new pumpkins and maybe bring them in at night. So,
put a cage around them.
Yeah. She really didn't expect the squirrels to just, trash her pumpkins, but they sure did.
That's too bad, too. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome for calling. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You have a good...
All right.
Great question from Maryland.
Great question. Yeah.
And
awesome.
And then we have Steve on the line.
Very good. Good morning, Steve.
Hello. Hey, Mark, I got a question. Oh, and I love your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
A few weeks ago, I come in and I purchased some of your Mark Select garden seed.
Okay.
Or lawn seed, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Mark's Mix.
Yeah. Anyway, one thing turned to another, and I'm not going to be able to plant that this year.
Okay.
How do I store that over the winter? They come in a paper bag.
Yeah. When my wife and I first built our home in 1995, we took home a 50-pound bag of grass seed. And, and we were only able, because we did as much as we could each year, we didn't have a lot of money, so we were, doing it all on our own. We planted the front lawn the first year, and half of the back lawn the second year, and the other half of the back lawn the next year, all out of the same bag, and did not have any loss of germination from year 1 to year 3. So keep it in a cool, dry spot, right in that paper sack on a shelf in your garage. And if it gets frozen, that's just fine. It's not a problem. It's really hot temperatures that are not good for it. And so it could freeze. It could be below 0. That grass will love it. And just keep it dry and in a cool spot, and you're good for years.
Okay, it's fine to double bag it too. I would assume.
Absolutely. The paper sack will kind of wick away any excess moisture that may have been in the grass seed. So the paper sacks actually are a really good place to store it. It's just keep it cool and keep it dry. And if you plant it next spring, sometimes the germ will actually get a little bit better, because it has had time to kind of just settle, and some of the hard seed count will start to germinate in there. So no problems there.
Good. Hey, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks. You have a great weekend, Steve.
753-5868. Thanks to Marilyn. Thanks to Steve. And I was excited about Marilyn's question. That's one I hadn't heard on the garden guide before. But.
Yes. Yeah, so gypsum's really good. And even if it were sand instead of the gypsum, you could absolutely use the sand and work that into the garden as well, too. You just, again, don't want to use too much. Use small amounts and balance it with a bunch of other ingredients, and then it really will build your soil back up. And sand is good for drainage. We don't want to put like a ton of sand in there, because if you get too much sand and clay, then you have concrete. And so you really want a lot of organic matter to work into the garden with that sand. So that would definitely be the compost and the leaves and the grass clippings and the sawdust and wood shavings. So all those things would help balance that out. But it's critical that you add the humate into that, because it replenishes all the microbes and microorganisms back into your soil that may be lacking after a year of growing stuff in there. So yeah, good way to go. Do we get another caller?
We do. Next up, we have Lori. Lori, go ahead.
Right. Good morning, Lori.
Hi. What if your leaves are full of bugs? Just throw them out?
That's a great question. What kind of bugs?
Well, mainly aphids. Sometimes other stuff.
You can
whitefly.
Yeah, you can carry, like, the eggs of the aphids could carry over from one year to the next, but it's kind of like weed seeds. Some people are like, well, I don't like tilling my weeds into the garden because it kind of spreads seeds all over the place. I'm like, everything spreads seeds all over the place. So, take advantage of the weeds because they're there for free, and you might as well use the organic matter. I don't think it's going to create a insect haven for you to have a major outbreak next year. You're going to have aphids no matter what. So I would go for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What about fungus? Say, like my apple tree kind of.
Right. A lot of those diseases are more airborne instead of soil-borne. If you've got like a lot of leaves that are just covered with powdery mildew, you could bag those up and send them to the landfill and let them really compost them, because that will kill the organism.
Right.
That'll kill the spores. In your garden, you may not generate enough heat to really break that down properly, and you may have a little bit of mildew showing back up again the next year. So, worthwhile. And if the bugs kind of bother you, you can do the same thing with those. It's okay. Just make sure and send it to the green waste, because they will compost it, and it will generate enough heat. It will kill all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. We don't have green waste out here, so
yeah.
I have to just put it in the trash. I don't know what else to do.
Dang it! I know.
I wish we could
come up. I wish we could come up with a solution for that, because
I do too.
The green waste is great, and believe it or not, even though Logan City's charging like $10 a load for you to bring it in, if you go anywhere else in the state, it's way more expensive.
I know.
We've just been spoiled for the longest time that everybody just thought, well, green waste is free.
Yeah, Weber County's $25 right now.
It's $25. Yeah. It's like, it would be amazing if it were free, but since I have a little bit of inside knowledge, the shredder that the city has to break down like branches and tree limbs and stuff like that, $1 million for that sucker. $1 million. And then it requires maintenance too. Surprisingly, you'd think once you spent that much money for it that it would just like magically work forever and you never have to do anything to it. So green waste actually does cost money to create. So yeah.
I tried composting, and I did fine for a while, but I'm getting older, and the turning and all that stuff, it doesn't work for me. So I just sort of gave up on that, but I do throw grass and what leaves I know aren't bug infested or whatever into my little garden boxes, and they do okay, but I still have clay. It never seems to go away.
Right. The green waste facility in Logan, they are absolutely looking for more like green waste material, because they're turning out so much compost right now. They're not deficient, but they could always use more. And so, if you think about it, it is a little bit of an inconvenience, but for $10 somebody else is going to like completely reuse that stuff. So
a tip on this as well, Lori.
I know it's a sigh moment, but
I don't know if this works for you in your area, Lori, but I know in my neighborhood there were a couple of elderly couples that they didn't have a truck or a trailer or the means to, and they wanted to send all this to the green waste. They just put a couple of posts on Facebook and Facebook classifieds. And someone who was already headed to the green waste with some extra space in their trailer stopped by their home and loaded all this stuff up because they're going anyway.
That is awesome. That is something to
awesome.
Try. Yeah,
I could post it on GroupMe.
See what happens.
There's a lot of solutions for some of these problems that we have. We just don't take a minute to figure it out.
When I had some trees taken down, I did that. I posted. I says, I can't haul this off. Come get the wood.
Come get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
someone will always.
I'm on my way, or I want this for firewood, and pretty soon it was all gone.
Yeah, I have so much confidence in the ingenuity of people. If they're willing to take the time to figure out a solution, we can find some really great answers to some of the things that really kind of fire us up, and we're like, I don't want to do it, but then it's like somebody comes along and says, hey, why don't we just throw all our stuff together, and it's like, boom, done. Everybody chips in, $3 and we're done.
No kidding.
It's like,
that's
awesome. We can do it.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your information.
You're so welcome. Thanks for calling.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Lori. 753-5868. Still some time for some calls here. If we don't get those calls, I know, Mark, you mentioned you wanted to talk about getting those wildflower seeds in now.
Yes. So I had multiple customers in this week, and they were super excited about planting wildflowers now so they can have them come up next year. And so we have a lot of different mixes at Anderson. Some are prepackaged, some you can get in bulk, and it just depends on how big of an area you want to do. So we've got some nice prepackaged mixes. There's an ounce of seed in each mix, and we've got a Southwest mix. We've got a Rocky Mountain mix. We've got a bees and butterfly mix. We've got a hummingbird mix.
The shade mix is amazing.
The shade mix is really nice too.
I had a spot under pine trees Acidic, shaded soil. Couldn't do anything with it for years. Your shade mix took it over.
And it did. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
It's beautiful.
But you plant now, and even you can wait a couple weeks, and Mother Nature will just kind of nurture those through the wintertime. So they'll get moisture, they'll get the cold, they'll get all the conditions that they need to kind of prepare them to germinate next spring. And then when the snow melts, the soil's really moist. We get rainstorms that come through. You don't have to really do anything to them, and all of a sudden they're popping up and they're going all over the place. And what we usually recommend for people who really want a nice wildflower mix and they want to like fill in 1,000 square feet in their backyard, or they want to cover their hillside or whatever, figure out your square footage that you need to cover. Let's do an application this fall, and then next year all those annual and perennial varieties of flowers are going to come up, but the perennials aren't going to bloom. They won't bloom until the second year. Sure. So half to 60 or 40 to 60% of your mix is not going to bloom the first year. So I always have people who come back that planted the first year and they're like, I'm kind of disappointed. It didn't look as good as I really wanted it to. And that's when I go, you planted last year, right? Yeah. And they're like, yes. And it's like, okay, we're going to plant again this year. It takes two seedings for it to really, really take off and look good. And so then I encourage them to do another seeding in the fall of the first year that it came up. And then the second year, the perennials all start to kick in. The annuals have dropped seed, so you've got more annuals. You seeded some more perennials and some more annuals in there. So all of a sudden, the second year, you go, wow, this is like 4 times more flowers than I had last year. This is looking pretty good. And then the third year, they all kick in. And then you've got like 8 times, 10 times more flowers than you had the first year. And then they step back and they go, that's exactly what I wanted. Yeah. So it's a 2 to 3 year process to really get those flowers established and looking good. Did you do the second application, or did you just go with the first one?
I'm going to do the second application in the next week
or two. It really does.
But I tell you, the best weed control I've ever had.
Yeah.
I didn't have to weed this spot at all.
And between the annuals and the perennials, you get color like all year long. It's like you've got the flowers going all year long, and then you got like when the perennials really kick in, then there's like an added boost of color, and it keeps the weeds down. It's just kind of naturalizes and does its own thing. And the perennials come back year after year, and the annuals drop seed. So then you get like more annuals coming up. So it's a really great way to fill in some large areas that you just don't want to have to do a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Once you get it established, do you recommend, going back every 5 years or something and tossing a few more seeds
Would never hurt. Just add some new ones in there, and you can add like a different mix in if you've got like the bee mix because you want to like feed your bees or your neighbor's bees or whatever. And you go, I kind of want some different flowers in there. Maybe I'll do the hummingbird and butterfly mix, and then you add that in. And then you've got some different varieties, and then all of a sudden you've got new colors and new flowers, and the Southwest mix is a new one that we brought in this year, and it is really drought tolerant.
Really?
Yeah, really, really drought tolerant, and very, very colorful as well too. So that's a great option as well too. We actually brought that in for the summer citizens that were coming from Arizona because we thought that was a good thing to offer to them because we have so many like really great supportive customers that come see us in the summertime because they're here visiting from Arizona. So we wanted to have a little something for them that they could take home and plant when they got there. So
it's very cool.
Yeah.
These are convenient packets too. It's worth mentioning. You literally rip the top off and start scattering.
And the seeds are in there. And then you've also got a QR code on there that takes you to our website with all the planting instructions. And so you just scan that with your phone or your iPad, and boom, it takes you right to the planting instructions. So every packet has planting instructions on it, tells you what varieties are in there, and it's really, really easy. So I've got some people who start with the packet, and they'll do like 500 square feet because that's what those usually cover. And then they love it. And then they come in, they buy it in bulk because then it's like, I need 4 ounces. And I'm like, don't buy 4 packets. Just come to bulk and get 4 ounces. And it's going to cost you less than buying 4 of those. So it's like we've got some options for larger areas. Had a gentleman in this week that bought 3 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
4 to 6 pounds per acre.
That's a lot of bee feeding and weed control is what that is. That was I didn't plant for that reason, but that was the first thing I noticed is that once the perennials were established, the weeds just kind of disappear.
He's got a big slope, and he's got like sprinklers at the top, and so he can supplement them with a little bit of water, to get things to germinate. But he really wanted to plant this fall, and he's got probably 10,000 square feet. And I'm like, okay, 10,000 square feet. Blah, 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 blah. You need like 1.5 pounds, and he's like, give me 3,
just in case.
Give me 3 pounds. It's like, all right, twist my arm,
That is great.
Jason, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
It's a nice surprise to find you in the studio this morning.
I've been taking notes all hour.
Okay, that's great. And thank you to all the phone calls. Thank you for calling in. Everybody have an amazing weekend. It looks like we're going to get some rain. Get out there and harvest your squashes, harvest those tomatoes. We didn't get frost at my house last week, but I think there was frost in parts of the valley. So that means it's time to get going in the garden. And got a lot of people bringing me apples to not sample, but to identify for them. And so that's always a good time as well, too. So y'all have a great week. And